Let's learn about nutrition in plants today. What is nutrition? So, nutrition is the mode of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. Okay, it is the mode of taking food by an organism and it's the utilization by the body. Now see, if you have remembered, in class 6 you all have studied about the nutrients. So nutrients are the components of food and there are different parts of it: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. Carbohydrates we get from cereals like rice and wheat. Proteins we get from milk, egg, fish and pulses. Fats we get from oil, ghee, right? And vitamins and minerals we get from green vegetables, green leafy vegetables. Now see, what is the function of the nutrients? They build the bodies, okay? We require them to grow, to repair our damaged parts of the body and to provide energy to carry out life processes. Now, in plants and even in animals, there are different modes of nutrition. So, mainly there are two parts of nutrition, two modes of nutrition. One is autotrophic mode and the second one is heterotrophic mode. Autotrophic mode, auto means self and trophos means nourishment. So, the organisms that make their own food, they are known as autotrophs. If you see here, see it is given in your textbook. Simple, the mode of nutrition in which organisms make food for themselves from simple substances is called autotrophic, right? And therefore the plants are called autotrophs because they make their own food. And animals of more and most other organisms, they take food prepared by the plants, so they are called heterotrophs. Heteros means those who are dependent on others, right? Now let us see how do plants make their food. Okay, see, a very important question: why can't we make food like plants do? Because we do not have chlorophyll in our bodies. Plants, they have a green colored pigment in their leaves known as chlorophyll. Okay, and this chlorophyll plays a very important role in doing photosynthesis. Photo means light, synthesis means to make. Okay, and the leaves have they are known as kitchen of the plants. Why? Because they have chlorophyll and they help the plants to make food. So there are four things that a plant use for doing photosynthesis. The very first thing is sunlight, then carbon dioxide, water and chlorophyll. So the plants or the green parts of the plants in the presence of sunlight with the help of chlorophyll using carbon dioxide and water create or make glucose. Now glucose is a type of carbohydrate which is the food of the plants, and this whole process is known as photosynthesis, and in this process oxygen is released as a byproduct. Okay, so this is actually the simple explanation of photosynthesis. In the presence of sunlight with the help of chlorophyll using carbon dioxide and water, the plants or green parts of the plants, they prepare carbohydrate and oxygen is released as a byproduct in this process. Now let's see what is given in your textbook. See here the definition has been given, okay, and thus the sun. Now see, during this process, it is a unique process and solar energy is captured by the leaves and stored in the plants in the form of food. The sun is the ultimate source of energy for all the living organisms because we all require sunlight, and even the plants, we eat plants and the plants need sunlight for making their food. So that is the reason. Now see, here is a small question given, that besides leaves, photosynthesis also takes place in other green parts of the plant. In green stems and green branches, the desert plants have scale or spine-like leaves to reduce loss of water by transpiration, and these plants have green stems which carry out photosynthesis. Now another important thing, that is the stoma. Let's see, there are stomata on the leaves of the plants. Okay, this stomata, they are small pores. So singular is stoma and plural is stomata. Small pores between the guard cells. Okay, see, there is a cell structure given here on this page. This is, you know that we all are made up of cells. All the living organisms are made up of cells. The plants are also made up of cells, and they are the tiny units. See here, it is shown, and the cells can be seen only under the microscope. And you know that the cells, they have the cell membrane here, and all the cells, they have a nucleus, and then there are jelly-like substance which is cytoplasm. Okay, so the plants or the leaves, they are also made up of cells, and there are guard cells. Okay, there are guard cells, between them there is a stoma, and this stoma, through this stoma, the plants, they actually do gaseous exchange. Okay, see, through the plants, they take in carbon dioxide through the tiny pores present on the surface on the leaves, and these pores surrounded by guard cells, such pores are called stomata. Now let's turn to this experiment. Let me show you my notes. So here, see, this is an activity which is given into your textbook also. So basically it is the iodine test. How would you know that there is a starch present in the leaves, or the plants, they have already made their food? How will you know? So you have to take two potted plants of the same kind, keep one plant in the dark room like for 72 hours and another plant in the sunlight. Okay, and then we have to perform the starch test using iodine on the leaves. So what sort of materials we require for this test? Leaf, boiling water, alcohol, iodine, spirit lamp or Bunsen burner, tripod, wire gauze, beakers, etc. Now what we have to do, we have to take the leaf of both the plants, one leaf from the plant which we kept in dark, and other leaf from the plant which we kept in sunlight, and we have to do this experiment on both of them, one after the other. What we are going to do, that we will put the take a test tube containing alcohol and put the test and we will place the leaf inside the alcohol. See, there is a test tube. Inside the test tube there is alcohol, in which we have to put the leaf and then put the test tube in boiling water. Once you do that, you know what will happen? The green colored chlorophyll will come out. So once that green colored chlorophyll will come out, the leaf will become almost white. Okay, once the leaf becomes white, you put it in a watch glass or a petri dish and then put 2-3 drops of iodine over it. Okay, now it will turn blue black. Now see, if the leaf was from the plant which was in the sunlight, then the leaf will turn blue black, and that tells you, that is confirmed that the starch or the carbohydrate is present in the leaf. If the plant was kept in the dark for 3 to 4 days, and then if you will perform this test on it, then it will not show the presence of starch. Okay, so that's an experiment that is given in your book. Now let us see quickly the types of another mode of nutrition in plants. And these are a few leaves given to you, and they are you need to find out like why there are different colors of leaves. What about the chlorophyll? Normally when the chlorophyll is present in the plants, it gives green color to them. What about these leaves? They have different color, right? If you have seen some plants, they have purple color leaves, and some plants have red color leaves. So why this? There is a change of color. Okay, let's see the they all have a more or less amount of chlorophyll. That's the reason they may have another type of pigmentation. Then let's see the types of nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition. Okay, now in heterotrophic nutrition there are 4 types: parasitic plants or parasitic kind of nutrition, saprotrophic nutrition or saprophytic nutrition, symbiotic nutrition, and then insectivorous plants. Now what happens in the parasitic nutrition? There is a host plant and there is a guest plant. Now see, this is exactly like two friends living together. The guest, he takes everything from the host, he eats with the host, he takes all the sort of facilities from the host, and then finally it damages or kills the host. So this is a parasitic kind of relationship where the guest plant actually sucks or takes all the nutrition from the host plant. It derives everything, it takes everything from the host plant, and then finally damages the host plant or kills the host plant. And who does this? There is a plant called Amarbel or Cuscuta that does it. Okay, the next one is a saprotrophic nutrition. Saprotrophic or saprophytic nutrition is a type of nutrition where organisms, this kind of organisms, they depend on the dead or decaying matter. You know, the dead bodies of plants, on this the fungus, there are certain kind of fungus and bacteria, they take the nutrition from dead and decaying things, and this type of relationship is called saprophytic relationship. Then there is one symbiosis or symbiotic relationship. Now in this kind of relationship, like there are two friends living together and one actually gives the house to rents the house to the other, and the other give him some money or cooks food for him. So this kind of relationship where both the friends are benefited from each other. So both the organisms get benefit in this. For example, lichen. In lichen there is an alga and there is a fungus. Now you know that alga has chlorophyll, but the fungus does not have chlorophyll. So the fungus cannot make food, but alga can. So the alga makes food and gives it to fungus, and the fungus lives together, like it is giving the house to alga to live. So they are living together and both are benefited from this. So that is, and it is known as lichen. Now there is another symbiotic relationship where there are roots of leguminous plants. Okay, there are root nodules. So in leguminous plants there are root nodules, and in this root nodules there are some bacteria called Rhizobium leaf. Now what does this Rhizobium do? Leguminous plants, they are the plants in the pods. Okay, leguminous plants are actually the plants in the pods, those who have pods actually. So they this kind of plants, they provide house to bacteria to live, and in return this bacteria, they provide them nitrogen. So this bacteria, they convert the nitrogen into nitrogenous compounds, because the leguminous plants, so plants cannot take nitrogen directly from the air, so they require some nitrogenous compound, and these plants, for protein synthesis, for making protein, they require nitrogen. So the Rhizobium bacteria gives nitrogenous compounds, and in return the root nodules give them a place to live. The last one is insectivorous plants. Okay, insectivorous plants are the kind of plants, they actually have different features where they trap the insects and digest them. Now these plants also, they live in a kind of land where there is less nitrogen and they require more nitrogen, so they capture the insects and they digest them. See, in your textbook also there is a picture given of a pitcher plant. There are many other plants. There is a Venus flytrap, then there is a sundew plant. Okay, so here is a picture given to you. These plants, they have this kind of structure, a pitcher shaped structure. As soon as the insect gets in, then this lid is closed and it is the insect is digested. Now see, this plant is a green plant. You might be thinking that does not this plant do photosynthesis? The answer is yes, this plant does photosynthesis, but it also requires some more nutrition in order to get nitrogen, so it also digests the insects. So this was about the insectivorous plants. See, there are some dead decaying organisms. Fungus has been given here. Okay, so you know fungus grows on chapati, it grows on bread. Here description about lichen has been given, and here about atmospheric nitrogen rhizobium explanation has been given to you. So that's all for this chapter. I have explained you all the points, and for further information you can go through your textbook. Thank you. If you like this, please like and subscribe my channel.